Folks, this won't end well for everyone. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending May 29, 2024. Our Prime Minister, in an interview, recently said, we need to maintain home values. Lots of people, that's their nest egg. They need the value of their home for their retirement. But at the same time, we need to make it easier for buyers to get into the market. Seems two opposing forces to me. And I live that sentiment, that sentence that our Prime Minister said, I live it every day. Just recently, I have a seller who is looking to retire. I've been speaking with them now for about a year and a half. And when we first spoke, the whole plan was, we're getting ready to retire. We want to sell. And when we talked about their home price, it wasn't quite where they needed it to be for their plans to be fulfilled. And so we've been waiting. We've been monitoring the area. We've been waiting. They're choosing to wait till prices that get to where the sellers, feel they need it to be. We're not quite there. I also have a buyer that I've walked through that home, and the buyer is ready to buy that home at market value. But the gap between market value and where my sellers need to be, it's just too high. So the sellers are choosing not to sell, to wait. And my buyer, well, we're looking elsewhere because they want to buy. The buyer is not prepared to go over market like that, but the seller is expecting it. Look, this may be one example, but there are thousands of examples like this across the GTA, across Canada. With the shift over the last few years in prices, this has thrown many, many retirement plans out of whack. They were counting on this money. They banked on this money, that their home value is so important to them. So when they hear things like prices are coming down, when I say they, the sellers that are looking to retire, or when there's, headlines or somebody saying, oh, home prices need to come down 50% to be affordable. It's like, what? There's homeowners freaking out. Every homeowner is freaking out about something like that. It's not something they want. I have, through the course of my career in real estate, spoken to and helped many sellers that are retiring to sell their property. I can tell you a few years ago, when the market, for years and years, the market's been increasing and increasing, it was many times a pleasant conversation. And when I'd sit down and tell them what their home value was, sure, let's list, let's sell. They were happy. Their plans, everything was in line with what they expected, many times better. Selling their home, they could never have imagined that the value would be where it is. Today, it's not such an easy conversation to have, because these sellers that have banked on their home, that have counted on their home's value, they're remembering where peak prices were. They saw friends on their street retire a few years ago at peak pricing. And so they've made their plans based on those prices, and they're not getting those prices today. So it's a very difficult conversation to have, that, yeah, forget about what happened a few years ago. This is the new reality, even though it's the reality. And they might even, after you spell it out and show them the evidence, these sellers that are looking to retire, they might even understand, okay, I get it, that's the price. They're not prepared to sell at that price. And many of them are in a position to wait. And that's what they're doing. They're going to wait it out. Or they're going to find a realtor that will list at the much higher price, and then their property is going to sit there. Look, if this is your plan to get out of the market and retire, I'm not telling you you have to sell your home. You can keep it for as long as you want. You're the owner. You do what's best for you and your family. But I am saying, if you're going to sell, you're going to sell at market value. You need to be in tune with the realities of the market today. So if you're going to sell, there's a price that's going to work for the market. Just because you want more or need more for your future plans doesn't mean there's a buyer that's just prepared to give it to you. No matter how good the realtor is, he's not going to get a buyer to spend an extra few $100,000s on your home because that's what you need. So there's a price that's going to work, or maybe don't sell. But it's your choice at the end of the day. You do need to be in tune with what's going on with the market. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, up here there's a link to my calendar. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. We're going to take a close look at the city of Toronto. Here's a quick summary. I got condos down here, average sold prices. We're not talking about condos. It's here just for reference. We have a whole separate video that comes out tomorrow just on condos. Semis and towns, detached properties. I've got 2 weeks here boxed off. The current week we're in for May 29th. If you recall, the previous week, May 22nd, average prices were down basically across the board. And I said, yeah, and sales were also down. And I said, yeah, that's probably have something to do with the long weekend. So this week here was the long weekend. The following week, well, average prices are up across the board. We're going to take a closer look here. This is for detached properties only. For week ending May 29th, sales jumped up over the previous week to 202 sold. These are detached properties. 202 were sold, pretty much in line to where we were the week before the long weekend. 52 properties sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price jumped up kind of to where we were the previous few weeks before the long weekend to $1,789,000. 1,789 is 3% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 5% lower. If we look at the dotted line, which is a 4-week moving average, median price looks like it's trending up pretty consistently. The average price was trending up, but over the last, just a couple weeks, so it's pretty hard to say that that's the new trend, but it looks like it's either flat or sloping down a little bit. But this low week here, the long weekend week, is pulling the 4-week moving average down. So 202 were sold. 55% of those sold at list price or more. Active listings is increasing, and months of inventory is sitting at 2.1. The previous week, the long weekend week, months of inventory jumped up because sales came down quite a bit. But now that we'll say it's back to a normal market, no holidays in the course of the week, months of inventory kind of came in line to where we were prior to the long weekend. So we're sitting at 2.1 months of inventory. That's the whole city of Toronto for detached properties. If we kind of zero in on some of the different neighborhoods, here's the map. City of Toronto broken down into 9 different sections. All of Toronto's 2.1 months of inventory sold at list price or more is 55%. Look at some of these neighborhoods. We'll look over here at Scarborough. 1.5 months of inventory, better than the overall average, and 64% sold at list price or more. East York, 1.1 months of inventory, 64% also sold at list price or more. Etobicoke, 30 detached properties were sold, 2 months of inventory, half of them 50% sold at list price or more. And you could look at all the different neighborhoods that you're interested in. I did receive a comment that said, hey, how come for downtown you never let us know what's going on? Well, actually, every time I show this map, I let you know exactly what's going on. Downtown, 0. This map is only for detached properties. Downtown, every week there's no sales, 1 sale, sometimes 2 sales of detached properties. And it's hardly a number you can rely on if we pick an average of 1 or 2 sales. So I don't do too much of that. But this particular week, week ending May 29th, there was 0 sales of detached properties. 1 semi was sold. 1 townhouse was sold. 52 condos were sold in the downtown core over the course of week ending May 29th. Here we go to semi-detached properties. 69 were sold. 25 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price just continuing to climb. It's at $1,454,000. 1,454 is 6% higher than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 6% lower, and both median and average price are trending up. Pretty clear when it comes to semis. 1.2 is the months of inventory, and 62% of the semis sold at list price or more. Extremely competitive market for the semi-detached properties. Townhouses. Sales also jumped up. 21 townhouses were sold. 6 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price is $1,279,000. And from this map, well, if I look, previous prices were going up, but over the last 2 to 3 months, it's really, about 2.5 months, it's really tough to see which way our price is trending. If we look at this chart here with the dotted line, the dotted line's a 4-week moving average. Kind of looks like overall it's pretty much flat actually when you look at the townhouse average price and median price. The average price is 6% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 5% lower. Months of inventory has been trending down, sitting at 1.9 months of inventory. Excuse me. Here's a quick summary. 2.1 for detached, semis 1.2 months of inventory, townhouses 1.9. Yes, we're in a seller's market if we only look at those numbers, but different neighborhoods behave differently. There's different amounts of inventory. There's different demand, different price points. You'll find in some of these product types or some of the detached semis or towns, you will be more in a balanced market type of environment. It all depends on price point, property type, and neighborhood. All that needs to be analyzed so you can make strong decisions. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.